Shortly after he passed, Chad came to me in a dream and said that there was only so much that he could do from here. These words were echoed by a close friend only days later, as if to say, in case you didn't hear me the first time.
Chadwick Boseman's brother has just sued his wife, Taylor Simone Ledward. And from what is now coming out, the allegations against Taylor are raising serious questions. She is accused of not only refusing to distribute certain assets, but also mismanaging the estate to such an extent that Chadwick's parents are now reportedly dealing with the consequences. Things have allegedly gotten so bad that they are even on the verge of becoming homeless. It has been 6 years since Chadwick passed away, yet instead of his family finding financial stability, their situation has reportedly continued to get worse. And according to the latest allegations, much of that financial trouble is being blamed on the way his wife has handled Chadwick's estate since his death.
Your family and your parents, they must be so proud of everything that's happening in your life.
I hope so. Yeah, they're excited about it. Like, you know, they have their own stories of things that happen to them, you know, daily, weekly. Like, people ask for my mom's autograph sometimes.
Does she like that? Yeah. Is she good?
No,
is she good with that? She doesn't like it?
She does not like that.
Right.
No, but it's still fun for my mom to tell me that.
Do you?
story.
I mean, obviously, when fans are with you, you talk about all of the work that you're doing. When you're home, do you talk about movies or just regular family stuff?
Mostly regular family stuff. Like,
Chadwick Boseman was notoriously private about his personal life. I mean, despite becoming one of Hollywood's biggest stars as the Black Panther, he never publicly revealed that he was battling cancer. He didn't release a statement, share a photo, or make any major announcement about his health. He also never publicly announced that he had married his longtime girlfriend, Taylor Simone Ledward, just 6 days before he passed away on August 28, 2020. His family were the ones who eventually broke the heartbreaking news to the world. Another thing that shocked people online was learning that Chadwick had reportedly died without a will. At the time of his death, his estate was estimated to be worth around $3.8 million. It went through California's probate process, and after legal fees, funeral expenses, and corporate tax bills were deducted, the estate was reportedly reduced to approximately $2.3 million. The agreement was for the remaining estate to be divided evenly between Chadwick's wife, Taylor, and his parents, Leroy and Carolyn, with both sides receiving 50%. Taylor was also appointed as the administrator of the estate. That agreement was finalized in 2022, and this is where things reportedly became extremely messy. Since then, Taylor has allegedly rejected attempts by Chadwick's parents to have the assets distributed fairly and has continued making decisions regarding the estate without properly consulting them. In the lawsuit filed against her, Chadwick's brothers reportedly claim that Taylor's original representation of the estate being worth $3.8 million was inaccurate. Over time, they allegedly discovered another bank account that had not been properly accounted for, and they claim Taylor has been unclear about the status of that account. The family also alleges that Taylor's court filings failed to fully disclose residuals, royalties, account earnings, image rights, intellectual property rights, and other assets connected to Chadwick. On top of that, she has allegedly entered into agreements with third parties involving the late actor's name, image, and intellectual property for new projects. Now, the family and Taylor had reportedly negotiated plans for a documentary about Chadwick Boseman's life. But according to the lawsuit, Taylor allegedly went in a different direction and entered into a separate agreement for another documentary without informing the family. Chadwick's parents have reportedly been left without access to certain funds, and Taylor allegedly still has not transferred the long-term care insurance policy over to his mother, Carolyn. The family also claims that Taylor has continued to benefit financially from Chadwick's name and image. They now want her removed as administrator, held in contempt, and want a forensic accountant appointed to examine the estate. They also want Taylor prevented from signing major contracts involving Chadwick's estate without the family's approval. And honestly, it's easy to understand why they would be frustrated. Of course, Taylor is grieving the loss of her husband and longtime partner, And that loss is something no one can minimize. But at the same time, she has continued moving forward with her own professional life. She has given interviews discussing Chadwick's legacy, released her debut album, The Mornings, and has reportedly been working on opening a wine bar, which she has described as her first business venture. So if Taylor has had the time and ability to pursue her own projects and allegedly enter agreements involving Chadwick's image and intellectual property, the family's question seems pretty straightforward. Why hasn't she also made sure Chadwick's mother and father receive what they were reportedly promised? That is ultimately what this legal battle appears to be about, and now the courts may have to determine exactly what happened to Chadwick's estate and whether it was properly managed.
So for Black folks and baseball fans and music fans, he was a known actor. And then Panther happened, and it's night and day. It was like pre-Panther and post-Panther. Life was just different. It went from people waving at you down the aisle of a grocery store to somebody actually like following you in your car and doing the Wakanda Forever salute in the window.
But on the other side of this, Taylor could have very valid reasons for how she has managed Chadwick's estate. We simply don't know what the family dynamics were like behind closed doors, or what Chadwick's relationship with his parents and brothers looked like before he passed away. There could be conversations, agreements, or personal circumstances that the public knows absolutely nothing about. What we do know is that Chadwick had been aware of his illness for quite some time, even though he and Taylor kept it completely private from the rest of the world. This wasn't a sudden death that nobody saw coming. Chadwick had time to think about his future, his finances, and the people he wanted around him. So Taylor could potentially argue that if Chadwick wanted his parents or siblings to receive specific assets, he had the opportunity to put those wishes into a will. But he didn't. And the fact that he chose to marry Taylor just 6 days before his death could also say something about where his priorities were during those final days. It was a deeply personal decision, and because neither Chadwick nor Taylor publicly discussed their marriage at the time, we can only speculate about what motivated them to keep it so private. Throughout their relationship, fans constantly campaigned for the two of them to break up, especially after Chadwick was cast as the Black Panther. A portion of the fandom wanted to see him with someone else, particularly a darker-skinned woman like Lupita Nyong'o. Taylor, along with members of her family, reportedly faced intense criticism and hateful comments simply because of her relationship with Chadwick. Some people even went as far as speculating that Taylor had used witchcraft to keep him with her after footage surfaced of the couple arguing in public. Of course, those claims were never proven, but they show just how extreme the online criticism became. And because nobody knew Chadwick was battling cancer, people had no idea what might have actually been happening behind the scenes. Remember, fans didn't know Chadwick was sick. So when Taylor appeared to be scolding him in public, many people immediately assumed she was simply being controlling or disrespectful. But knowing what we know now about his health, there could have been an entirely different reason for her concern. Chadwick's immune system was compromised, and being around large crowds could have carried serious risks for someone undergoing cancer treatment. What fans interpreted as an argument may have been Taylor trying to protect the man she knew was seriously ill. Unfortunately, without that context, Taylor was dragged relentlessly online. There was even a moment when Chadwick seemed to throw a little shade at his own fans while praising Denzel Washington after he was honored at the 47th AFI Life Achievement Award. Chadwick spoke about the experience of watching a Denzel Washington movie and mentioned the complications that came with dealing with his own fans, saying, "Even in this day and age, when I could stream it later at home, and even with the complications of dealing with my own fans, when a Denzel Washington movie comes out, that is an event." So yes, Chadwick may have had responsibilities toward his parents and siblings simply because they were his family. But at the end of the day, Taylor Simone was the woman he chose to marry. He married her quietly and just days before his death, at a point when he knew exactly how serious his condition was. Could that marriage have been his way of protecting Taylor and ensuring that she would have control over his legacy after he was gone? We can't know for certain unless more information comes out. But considering how private Chadwick was throughout his entire life, it wouldn't be completely shocking if he had personal reasons for keeping his final decisions away from the public. So, what do you guys think? Did Chadwick intentionally leave no will because he trusted Taylor to manage everything after his passing? Or was there simply more to their private family situation than the public ever knew? Sound off in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe. See you later, baddies.